Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Shruti Smriti Puranana Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. We are doing today Kathopanishad, and I missed one verse, 14th verse, even though we have seen 15th verse, but 14th verse we missed out somehow. And that is a very important verse. Tadetaditi manyante anirdesham paramam sukham. That is second adhyaya, second valli, 14th verse. After this, we will see the third valli. Okay? Tadetaditi manyante anirdesham paramam sukham. Katham nu tad bijaniyam kimu bhati vibhati va. It is a kind of it is a sambandha shruti connecting it to the next verse. Tad etaditi manyante. Tad etad means tad etad. It is this. People always think manyante means it is thought by the layman. Tad etaditi. That is this. That is this means tadetaditi manyante anirdesham. Anirdesham means what cannot be pointed out. What cannot be said to be this. What cannot be said to be that. What cannot be pointed out. Anirdesham. What cannot be pointed out is pointed out as this. Paramam sukham. Paramam, the timeless peace. The timeless peace is one's existence. The timeless peace. You are peace. You are being peaceful. Even though you say that I am a dukkhi, but you continue to be peace by nature. It is that nature that has to be understood. Even though you may say that I have this problem, that problem, etc., but despite all those problems, you are being peace. You are being peace. Despite your pleasures and pains, you are being peace. You are being peace, not thinking peace. You are being peace. You think pleasure, you think pain, you think disturbance. That is all thought. But being peace is important. You are being peaceful. You are being peace. Absolute serenity. You are being serenity. Paramam sukham. The timeless peace. Sukham. Kathamnu tad vijaniyam. How can I understand that? Kathamnu tad vijaniyam. How can I understand that? Kimu bhati vibhativa. Does it shine or shine it after it? Shine after it. After something else. Does it shine or shine after? Does it shine or illumined? Does it illumine? Is it illumined? Does it illumine or does it illumine or is it illumined? Is it the illuminator or illumined? Is it the illuminer or illumined? Kimu bhati vibhativa. Bhati means shines. Vibhati means shines after. And I have already said in the next verse, viparetataya bhati. Is it really a distortion or is it a fact? Is it a distortion or is it a fact? Does it shine? Does it shine after? Does it illumine or is it illumined? In answer to that, the Shruti says, Tadetaditi manyante anirdesham paramam sukham. This is the verse that we missed out. It is always said, this is it, this is this, this is that, tadetad, this is that, iti manyante. Some people think, anirdesham, what cannot be pointed out? What cannot be pointed out is always pointed out as this is that. Paramam sukham, this timeless peace. Kathamnu tadvijaniyam, how can I understand it? Kimu bhati, kimu vibhati va. Kimu bhati, does it illumine? Is it illumined? For that, the Shruti, the answer to this, the Shruti gives, Natatra Suryo Bhati Nachandra Tarakam. The sun can't illuminate, the moon cannot illuminate, the stars also cannot illuminate. No physical light can illumine the conscious light. The physical light cannot illumine the conscious light. Nema Vidyito Bhanti Kutoyam Agni. These local lights also cannot illuminate. Local physical lights also cannot illuminate. The heavenly physical lights like the sun, the moon, the stars, they're all heavenly physical lights. Those physical lights cannot illumine. The earthly physical lights also cannot illumine. What Kutoyam Agni? How can I think that this flame of lamp, while giving arati we say, how can Kutaha Ayam Agni, this small little flame of lamp, how is it going to illumine? I have not lit it up in order to illumine the truth. I have lit it up in order to pour out my attitude towards the truth. My prayer. It is associated with my prayer rather than it is meant to illumine the truth. Tameva bhantam, and it shines. Tameva bhantam. Tameva, usko hi. Bhantam means the shining. Us shining atma ko hi. Anubhati sarvam. Everything else shines after. Anubhati. Sarvam means everything else shines after it. Tasya bhasa, by its shine. Tasya bhasa, by its shine. Sarvamidam vibhati. Everything else shines after it. Everything else shines after it means the creation shines after the source, meaning the distortion shines after the fact. That is what I think. That is what I always feel. The error shines after the fact. The misconception shines after the fact. The misunderstanding shines after the fact. Because the fact shines by itself, whereas my misconception always shines after the fact. The distortion starts after the fact. The snake shines after the rope. The rope shines. I may not know, but it is there. It is in my experience. So what? It shines. It is there. The ropeness shines. The snakeness shines after it. The snake is that it is a snake is my thinking, my distortion of the rope. And therefore the rope shines, the snake shines after it. The distortion shines after it. In this manner, we have to understand. And ghatadinam anya avabhasakatva adarshanath bhasan rupanam cha adityanam tad darshanat. Anya avabhasakatva adarshanath. Ghatadinam anya avabhasakatva adarshanath bhasana rupanam cha adityadinam tad darshanat. See, in comparison to the pot can't see the sun. The sun can illumine the pot can't illumine the sun. In the same manner, the sun can't illumine your existence. You know the sun. Physical light, you know. The conscious light knows the physical light. The physical light cannot know the conscious light. You have to make a distinction between the physical light and conscious light. And the conscious light is you. You are the conscious light. You are the light. You are the conscious light. You are consciousness. To be conscious of is to be conscious light. Even if you are conscious of, you are conscious of. Of doesn't mean it is a wrong. Conscious of is a relationship, but that relationship itself you are aware of. That object itself you are aware of. And therefore you are consciousness. And therefore, always think that you are a conscious light in contrast to the physical light. The physical light is something that cannot know you. The sun is not aware of you, whereas you, as a conscious being, you are aware of the sun. The sun may illumine your body, your chandan, your face, everything, but your clothes. The sun may illumine the whole world, but it can't illumine the source of the world. The source of the world is yourself. The source of the universe is yourself. You think that the world is outside you. It is not outside you, it is seen within you. Like the dream is, you close your eyes and dream a world. And that means that you are dreaming the dream universe only within yourself. But you feel as though it is outside you. It is not outside you, it is inside you. Any error, when until it is corrected, it has to look outside you and it has to look real. If it looks inside you, then it cannot look real. In order to look real, it has to look outside you. That is the nature of the error, please. You don't have to think who makes it so, etc., etc. Nobody needs to make it so. That is the nature of the error. Something that the error is something that it has to look outside you in order to look real. And the dream looks outside you because it looks real. It looks outside you and it looks real. But once you wake up, you think it is all within you. You dreamt it within yourself, and it looked outside and it looked real. And it looked real, and therefore you got scared, etc. You are affected by the dream. In the same manner, the waking also looks real by way of looking outside you. It looks real, and therefore you run after it. But in reality, it looks within you. It is seen within you, and it is not real. And therefore, here Bhagavan says, therefore you have to discern between the physical creation, the physical and the non-physical consciousness. The consciousness is yourself. You are conscious of. The world may look real, may look outside you, but it's not looking out. It is not outside you. It's not real also. The sun may look real. The stars may look real, and they may look outside you, but they are not outside you. They are not real also. Having seen the contrast between the conscious light that you are and the physical lights that are there, having seen the contrast, now we are going to see the third Valli. The third Valli, Tritiya Valli of the second Adhyaya. This is the Tritiya Valli. Urdhvamulaha, Avakshakaha, Yeshaha Ashwataha, Sanatanaha. I will go, I'm going into each and every word. Urdhvamulaha. It is a Bahuvrihi Samasa. Urdhvam Moolam Asya Saha. Or Urdhve Moolam Asya Saha. Tad Vishnuha Paramam Padam Asya iti. Saha Ayam Avyaktajasthavarantah. Sansara. This world is something whose roots are in the above. Whose roots are in the above. The above means the above time, the above space, the above form, the above thought. That means the truth, your existence. Your thoughts are rooted in you. Your perceptions are rooted in you. And you are considered to be above the time and above. Even the time is rooted in the timeless you, the time free you. The space is rooted in the time free you, the space free you. The thought is rooted in you, the thought free you. Urdhva Mulaha. You don't have to objectify the above, which is the source of the universe, please. You don't have to objectify. Learn to be, just to be. To be. You are only being that. You are being Urdhva Mulaha. You are being the above time. You are being the above space. You are being the above thought. You are being the above form. And therefore, you are being the above thinking. You are being the being. And therefore, Urdhva Mulaha. Avaksha, and all the objects, they seem to be in time. Avakshakaha. Every given object is in time. It is in time, even though objects are also timeless, because they're all a part of the universe, and the universe is as one as an object objectified by the jiva. It is in time, but along with the jiva, the universe is timeless. Avakshakaha. Avakshaka means all the branches, all the objects are in time. They have a space, they are located in space, they are located in time, They're located as thought, they're located in form. And therefore, Avak Shaka. Avak means low. Urdhva means up above. Avak means below. Shaka. The branches of the world, meaning the objects of the world, they are in time, whereas the source of these objects is in the above. The above means the source, the roots of the objects are in yourself. The above is yourself. The subject is the above. The object is below, is in the below. Yeshaha, this Ashwataha, this Sansara, Ashwataha, it is not the same. It is ever changing. Ashwataha. And in fact, Ardhamula Avakshaha, I am going to read some of the Bhashya. Praruda Jadikrita Drida Baddha Mulaha. Satyanamadi Saptaloka Brahmadi Bhuta Pakshikrita Nida. This tree is like a tree, a banyan tree, in which a lot of birds have come and made their nests. And in the morning, you can see lot of noise being made by the birds. In the same manner, in this world, a lot of jivas make their own nests. They live in their own houses. And each house is like a nest because each jiva is like a bird. And what are they doing? Prani sukha. They have pleasures and pains. Prani sukha dukkha. They go through the pleasures and pains. Sukha dukkha. Udbhuta, and born of sukha dukkha, harsha shoka. And they harsha shoka. And they are joyous and they are sorrowful. Harsha shoka. Jata and nritya. And then sometimes when they are happy, they dance, they sing. And vaditra. Vaditra means the instruments of music. They play the instrument tabla, they play the harmonium, they play the veena when they are very happy. And therefore Vaditradi Shvelita. And then they Vaditra Shvelita. Shvelita means Kelita. Kelita means they play also. They play also. Aspotita, they clap. Hasita, and then they also hasita means they laugh. Akrishta, they become angry. Akrishta. Rudita, and then they cry. Ha ha muncha muncha. And they always tell one another, please leave me alone, leave me alone. Muncha muncha. This is exactly what happens after a party. Muncha muncha, leave me alone, leave me alone. I'm feeling sleepy, I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. Driver, kahan ho? आ जाओ जल्दी शुरू करो. I am going. In this manner they say, muncha muncha, please leave me alone, leave me alone. इत्यादि अनेक शब्दकृत तुमुलीभूत महारवः. It is full of noise. The sansara is full of noise. Maharava, tumulibhutam maharava. It is tumult of maharava, a tumult of roaring noise, a tumult of roaring noise. Vedanta Vihita Brahmatma Darshana Asanga Shastra Kritacheda. This sansara is something that can come to an end by knowing Vedanta topic, the Vedanta. Vedanta means it is the last topic of the Veda. The final topic of the Veda is your existence. The final topic, the real topic of Veda is your existence. Is your existence. Where it is Chedaha. And therefore, there cannot be any topic other than yourself which is greater, because you are, as the subject, you are comprehensive of all the objects. And therefore, Shabdakrita Tumulibhuta Maharava, Vedanta Vita Brahmatma Darshana, Asanga Shastra Krita Chedaha, Kritochedaha, Krita Uchedaha. This sansara is something that can be removed by vairagyam and asanga. Asanga means detachment. Detachment and Vedanta. Tuchata. Esha sansara vriksha. This is called sansara vriksha. Sansa. Avurdhamulaha avakshakaha. This universe, this sansara, sansara's roots are in Brahman and its branches are down below in time. Asanga Shastra Krita Uchchedaha, Yesha Sansara Vrikshaha, Ashwataha, and it is called Ashwataha. Why it is called Ashwataha? Shona Tishtati, it is not the same tomorrow. The sansara keeps changing. Ashwataha, Shona Tishtati. It is not the same. Drishtanashta Swabhavaha iti. Drishtanashta Swabhavaha means as you are seeing it, it changes. It changes and it disappears ultimately. अश्वत्थः अश्वत्थवत् कामकर्म प्रे कामकर्म वारिता इति कामकर्म vata irita. It is always moved by your kama and karma, your desire, your avidya, your kama, your karma. By the action, by the desires, it gets it is moved. The sansara is moved. The sansara moves by human desire. Sansara moves by human action. Irita. Narakatiryak pretadibhihi shakabhihi abhakshaka. And it is nitya prachalita swabhava. It is ever moving. It is a sansara is ever changing, ever moving, ever swabhava. Swarga naraka tiryak pretadibhihi shakabhihi abhakshaka. And its branches are like Nargaloka, Tiryagaloka, animal world, human world, and the denizens world. All these worlds are objectifiable realms, are called the realms below. They're a part of creation. We say, even though it has a whole creation, it is timeless, but yet anadi. But as individual objects, they are always pointed out as in time. They are always seen as in time. Swarga Naraka Tarijik Pretadivi, Shakabihi Avakshaka. Sanatana, it is Sanatana, Anadihi, Anadivachi. It is always called Anadi. Sanatanaha means Sadanutanaha means it is Sanatanaha. It is something that is Anadihi, Sanatanaha, Anadihi, and Chiram Pravruttaha. It has been going on. It is there. It is going on. It has been going on also is wrong. It is going on. I don't know. Like illiteracy, even though we say it has been going on, a person is illiterate until he becomes literate. Until he goes to school, he remains illiterate. Similarly, a man may be a sansari until he understands himself. He continues to be a dukhi until he understands himself. Chiram pravruttaha. And therefore, ऊर्ध्वमूलः वाक्शाखः एषः अश्वत्थः सनातनः तदेव shukram tad brahma. And the source of that creation, the source itself is the support itself is the resolving point. Just as these perceptions cannot be thought of to have their source anywhere else other than the conscious being, because it is the conscious being that perceives. Therefore, perception is rooted in the consciousness, and thoughts are also rooted in the conscious being. Even the thinkerness is rooted in the consciousness. Every relation is rooted in the conscious being, which is not related. And therefore, Tadeva Shukram, Tadeva, that source alone, that source of the whole creation alone, Brahma is indeed the infinite, is indeed the unlimited. Tadeva Shukram, that is indeed Shukram. Shukram means the Suddham, Tad Brahma, and that is infinite. The source is the purity, the source is the creation may have flaws. The creation may have flaws. The flaw is that it looks limited. It is a distortion. That it is a distortion is its flaw. Creation is the distortion of the source, and the source is flawless, whereas creation is full of flaws. What is the flaw? The flaw, you may say it is well created, etc., but that it is a distortion. As a problem, it is a distortion. And it as a prakriya, you may call it as a creation. Otherwise, it is a distorted perception. That it is a distortion is its flaw. Tadeva Shukram, but that source of that distortion, that fact behind that distortion is indeed purity, Shukram. Tad Brahma, that is infinite. Tadeva Amritam Uchyate, and that alone is eternal. Tadeva Amritam Uchyate. Amritam Uchyate means is called. That alone is called the eternal. That Brahman, that purity alone can be called Amritam. The creation cannot be flawless. The creation, whether it is a human creation or man's creation, it is full of flaws. Why? Because it is a creation. Yat, yat, yat kritam tannashyam. That it is non-eternal is its flaw. Anything that becomes unmanifest is its flaw. That it can have laya. Anything that can be disproved is its flaw. Anything that can become unmanifest is its flaw. Anything that looks limited is flaw. Anything that changes is its flaw, and therefore the change is its flaw. That it is a distortion is a flaw. Pot is a flaw. You cannot have a perfect pot, but the clay is perfect because the clay is something, the material, and therefore you can't talk about the perfection or the imperfection of the clay. The pot may be full of flaws. There is no flawless creation. Every creation is entertained. What is flawless. What is thought of, what is perceived is full of flaws. It is change, it is a distortion. And therefore, like the sarpa is, however good sarpa you may see it, it is full of flaws because it is a distortion. Rope is flawless. And therefore, here it is. Tadeva Shukram Tad Brahma. That alone is purity. That alone is flawless. Tadeva Tad Brahma. And that alone is infinite. Tadeva Amritam Uchyate. That alone is timeless. The source alone is timeless. The source of the creation is not related to the creation. It is a material. The material is not, the clay is not related to the pot. The pot is clay. There is no relationship between the material and the made place. And therefore, in the same manner, here also, there is no material, there is no relationship between you and the universe. The whole universe is you. The whole universe is you. Tasmin lokaha shrita sarve. All worlds are located in consciousness. These objects are not outside you. These objects are located within you. Tasmin lokaha shritaha sarve. Tadunatyeti kaschana. Every object is within you. The dream is within you. The waking is within you. The deep sleep state, ignorance also is you. Even though to begin with we say it is within you, it is meant to say that it is not outside you. It is within you. It is meant to say that it is, Tatparyam is it is you. The waking is you. The dream is you. The distortion, the sarpa is the Rajju. The sarpa is Rajju. What looks like snake is indeed Rajju. What looks like an object is the subject, is the consciousness. What looks inert is what looks like matter is consciousness, and therefore tadunatyeti kaschana, and nothing can transgress it. Nothing can exist outside it. Tadu na atyeti. Atyeti means going beyond. Nothing can exist beyond the truth. There is no beyond the truth. There is no beyond it. There is no outside to the truth. There is no outside to the consciousness. Consciousness has no boundaries. There is no outside to the consciousness, and therefore it is inside and it is outside. It is inside the object, outside the object. There is nothing outside it, there is nothing else parallel to it, inside it also. And therefore, it alone is. The truth alone is, consciousness alone is. Tadu natyeti kasha. Natyeti means nothing can exist independent of the truth. Everything is, everything looks to be, not even is. Everything looks to be, everything, the world looks to be only depending upon the truth. Everything looks to be depending upon the truth. Like the waves appear to be, they depending upon water. In the same manner, the physical objects look to be, they appear to be only depending upon the consciousness. Etadvai tat. Hey Nachiketa, you asked a question, when a person dies, is there something that survives, or is there not anything that survives? It is this that survives, that Brahman survives. It is this, Brahman survives. Etadvai tat. And that the survivor of the death is the truth. The body dies, but the one who had the body, the conscious being, doesn't die. Vasansa jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani navani sanyati navani samvat sanyati atma dehi navani dehi anyani sanyati navani dehi anyani sanyati navani dehi. That should be like that. Anyani sanyati navanade. Just as a man changes the clothes, the consciousness also changes the body. And therefore your labels die for good, and your form dies for good, your memory dies for good. And as an individual, as Mr. So-and-so, you die for good. There is no question of remaining. Whereas your nature, your being consciousness, and that consciousness doesn't die. That consciousness remains, and that survives the death, and that consciousness, that conscious you, takes the new body. And therefore, Tadunatit Kashne Tadvaitat. This we have seen the verse, and therefore, let me see again. Urdhvamula Avakshakaha. This samsara, so roots are in the truth. Avakshakaha. This samsara, sukha, dukkha, a given sukha has a beginning, has a given dukkha, has a beginning and an end. And they all have these given sukhas and given dukkhas and given thoughts. They become given memories, and they fade out. And they become also unmanifest. They get disproved in time. Avakshaka, Yeshaha Ashwatha. This sansara is considered to be Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha means it's not the same. It will today you are poor, rich, and tomorrow you can become poor. And in this manner the sansara keeps changing. Today you are poor, tomorrow you can be rich. Sanatanaha. It has been going on forever. It is there until the truth is known. That is why it is called Sanatana. It is not it's timeless. Sanatana. Tadeva Shukram, that the source of that creation itself is the source of the creation is purity, flawless, and that is infinite, and that is Amrutam Uchyate, Tadeva Amrutam Uchyate, and that is indeed eternal. Tasmin Lokaha Shrita Sarve, and within that you, all the thoughts, all the lokas are embedded. Don't think the source of something is other than you, because this world is nothing but a perception. The mountain is nothing but a perception of the mountain. It looks as though outside you, and therefore it looks real. Otherwise it is a perception. It cannot be proved anything other than perception. There is no proof of anything. There is no proof of its being anything other than perception. And therefore the whole world is a perception. And therefore the perception is rooted in you only. It is your perception, and your means it is consciousness perception. It is a perception whose source is yourself, the consciousness. And thoughts are also rooted in you. You can't think of the thought has perception has got an object and the subject. Its roots are in the subject, the conscious being, and its branches are pertain to the objects, and they pertain to the objects. Perceptions pertain to the objects. We think they are objects, but they are perceptions only. Tasmin loka shrita sarve tadunatitkash. Nothing can exist except as a perception. Nothing can exist except as is independent of the truth. Nothing can exist unperceived. It cannot be proved. Unthought of, it cannot be proved. Thought of, it can be proved. Thought of thought of, it looks to be, and as perceived it looks to be. It only looks to be, but they cannot exist independent of you, and therefore they cannot transgress your presence. They cannot be without your presence. Without presupposing your presence, nothing conscious presence. The thoughts cannot exist, perceptions cannot exist. Therefore, all perceptions are rooted in you. If all perceptions are rooted in you, then all the worlds also are rooted in you, because the worlds are nothing but perceptions. If you go to heaven, you perceive heaven, and that is also a perception. You are born to the earth, it is a perception, it is a sense perception. Uh, Independent of except as perception, it cannot be proved to be otherwise. It looks to be outside you in order to look real, and therefore, and that is the nature of adhyasa. That is the nature of a distortion. A distortion cannot look real unless it looks outside you, and therefore तस्मिन् लोकाशु सर्वे तदनातीत question etad. And this Brahman is survives. This is the answer to your question. Your question was, does something survive the death? Yes, something survives the death. That is the eternal, the timeless, the conscious being survives that death. But your body doesn't survive, your labels don't survive, your name doesn't survive, your form doesn't survive. As an individual, you don't survive, but your actuality, being the consciousness, you as an individual, as Mr. So and so, as time bound, is dies for good. But as anadi, as eternal consciousness, as consciousness, you survive and you take another form. And therefore, when I say you has two meanings. One is you, the non-eternal, and you, the eternal. And you, the non-eternal, is the labels. If you are a Rotary Club president, that label is gone for good. And whatever goes in deep sleep state alone goes in the death also. And therefore, but whatever is in deep sleep state, that alone survives the death of the body. Because after transcending the body, if the consciousness survives in the deep sleep state, same consciousness survives in the death also. You may say that it survives in the waking state. That's a different matter. So what? Even if you call it that it survives in the waking state, so what? Because from the waking point of view only, you only think of the sleep and the death. But inside the death, there is no thought about the death. Inside the sleep, there is no thought about the sleep. Wherever there is thought about the sleep and thought about the death, from that waking point of view only, we have to say that in whatever survives the transcendence of the body, whatever that alone survives the death of the body also. Whatever survives the transcendence of the body, that alone survives the death of the body. That when the body dies, that is called the death. When the body is transcended, it is still breathing, but you have transcended, that is called sleep. But in sleep, you don't have the individuality. In death also, there is no individuality. In sleep, there is the timeless, the peaceful being, and in death also, there is a peaceful being, and that peaceful being survives. As a peaceful being, as a conscious being, you survive, and therefore, you don't have to think that death has to be. When if I have to die, then why think about the truth? Don't say that, because it is only by knowing that you are the truth. You use every asset of yours to know the truth. Your money, your time, your health, your mental peace, your mental purity, everything should be used to know the truth. When you know the truth about yourself, your actuality about yourself is much better than your individuality, please. You may be a rich man, but the happiness that you get from your actuality, the peace that you get from your actuality, is something greater than what you get from your rich personality. Your rich personality is different from a rich personality is non-eternal, whereas your actuality is eternal, please. And therefore, it is better that every jiva knows his actuality. The actuality is greater than the non actuality. That I am a body is non actuality. The actuality is that I am free from the body. My existence is free from the body is the actuality. The actuality is greater. And the more of it we will see later. Thank you so much. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति.